back to episode 14 of my RimWorld tutorial video series. In this episode, I thought I'd kind of go over raiding. And by raiding, I mean when you decide to raid an enemy faction settlement. Or, I mean, I guess you could raid allies or neutral ones too, but usually who you're raiding are people that are already hostile with you. Otherwise, you completely do all that goodwill. If you are allies, like right now we are allies with the Anda civilization, a faction. The moment you attack them, it doesn't matter how much goodwill you have, you instantly become hostile with them, which I then think puts you at like negative 60 or 80. I think it might depend on the faction. But why would you want to raid? Well, raiding is useful for a lot of reasons. One, it's a great way to get resources, especially if you are a tribal start. One of the kind of ways that tribals are designed to be most effective is kind of staying nomadic, staying in caravan mode, and raiding is a big part of that. So, yeah, getting supplies is great. The biggest reason I raid, honestly, is for goodwill with other factions. Anytime you destroy a base, anyone who is hostile with that faction will like you more. The exception is these two factions, the red factions, they never like you, and it's really hard to do anything, I think, to garner goodwill with them. If you capture prisoners of theirs and release them, they don't like you anymore and stuff like that. So these guys are kind of chaotic, evil. They are always upset. All the other factions can be brought to liking you fairly easily, especially through raiding. So if you were to want to raid just these two factions, pretty much all the other factions would then start to like you. And you get like plus 20 goodwill for every base that you destroy from the enemies of that faction. So it's actually very useful for that. You can see here, we're now neutral. We're neutral with what used to be an enemy faction, and we're allies with what used to be a neutral faction. And that's because we took this group here. They actually started, we drop-podded over. I don't know if you remember from last tutorial series, I think I briefly showed you the world map, but there was like a tribal colony over here. We actually drop-podded over to that colony, raided it, formed a caravan because we drop-podded with supplies and animals. We have Cisco, our horse, with us to just carry things that we're just raiding for the goodwill of the other factions. So we didn't take too many animals to lug a whole bunch of items. A third reason you might want to raid is for more colonists. You can get prisoners very easily through raiding, and then form a caravan, bring them back to your settlement, and recruit them there. So that's another reason why you would maybe want to raid. And then a lot of times you have to raid for a quest, or some world event kind of requires you to go out into the world to destroy a machine that might be spewing smoke or toxic fog or something in your area. So if you don't take care of it, your colony will suffer because of it. So sometimes you're required to raid in order to kind of keep going normally. So anyway, I thought I would kind of go over some of the things to consider when you are raiding, when you're forming a caravan to raid, and all such things. So I've like I said, I've already kind of caravanned out, destroyed one settlement, and have moved over here. And we're actually going to hit up, our plan is to hit up both of these settlements and then head back home. So when you're forming a caravan to raid, it's very similar to doing it for trading. The only thing I would talk about suggesting is, you don't want to take any items that you don't necessarily need. because you want to keep your weight down so you can stay as quick and mobile as possible, especially if your raids are far away and stuff like that. The other thing I would also suggest is, your colonists should already be equipped with the weapons they're going to probably use, but it's always good to bring some bigger weapons, some grenades, or a doomsday rocket launcher if you have one. These are kind of get out of jail free cards. If you're in a tight spot, they can really turn the tide. And when you are raiding, you don't know what you're going to get until you actually enter that tile. There are some things to know about the different factions. If you're raiding a tribal faction, their settlements don't usually have, or they don't have turrets. They don't usually have electricity. They're usually fairly agriculture based, so they will usually have their loot is usually a lot of raw resources like plant material, but also pemmican. They usually have a lot of pemmican. The tribal units will have a lot of pemmican on them, so when they die, they'll drop a lot of pemmican. Good way to get gold and jade. A lot of times tribals will have gold and jade as well. But not some of the more advanced materials like plasteel and stuff like that. Tribal settlements will also have more units. So I'm not exactly sure how the calculations work, but basically when you get raided, if an enemy is raiding you, the game generates a point system based off of your wealth and other factors that go into the power of the raiding party. So those points are distributed differently depending on the faction. So for tribal units, their points are mostly spread out through having actual units. So their raids, when they raid you, are a lot more people than other factions' raids, but they won't have the technology. They won't have great armor. They won't have, shield belts or things like that. They won't have guns. They'll have bows and arrows and spears and clubs, but there will be a lot of people. So tribal sappers can be difficult because if you can't predict where they're going to be going into your base, it can be hard. And the same thing when you're raiding a tribal unit, you know that settlement's not going to have technology like turrets or electricity, but they're going to have a lot of units. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to have to kill or dissuade from attacking us. So we do kind of know that, but we're not going to know the layout until we enter the tile, and we're not going to know kind of the situation that we're in until we enter. Always what I do when I'm raiding and I'm caravanning up is I will rest right before my caravan is set to go into an enemy tile. I'll set the caravan to rest so that everyone's mood is really great right now. So I probably can go now, but I just want everyone to eat. So hopefully when these more hungry people eat. All right. Now that most everyone is not hungry or lean, is the most hungry, and they still have 38% food in their food bar. So let's go. So in case you hadn't, you just right click. Once you have your caravan selected, you just right click and say attack. We could offer gifts because they're an enemy. We can't trade with them, but we could offer them gifts. But no, they're gonna be giving us gifts, but not probably without consent though. So yeah, we're gonna go and raid. When you're forming caravans to raid, you also want to think about the who you're leaving at your base. You want to keep your base defended too. We have defenses, we have turrets around and stuff, but those aren't usually good enough on their own to dissuade most raids. So you want to keep your base defended too. So here we're going to go in. Now, I will say we are going to horribly outmatch them because we are a late game tech colony. We have a lot of good technology. We have shield belts. We have lots of stuff that can really mess these guys up. But okay, let's look here. This is the settlement that they have. See, it's a lot of agriculture. So there's a lot of plants in the ground that are close to needing to be harvested. So if once we raided here and broke this village, we could stay here and harvest these things. You know, my colony, as advanced as it is, we do not have the technology to grow cocoa trees yet, or we might have researched it, but we haven't done anything with it. And chocolate's a great way to improve mood with your colonists. You know, here's hops where you can make beer. So, and my guess is in some of these storage areas, we are going to find, you know, basically the harvested versions of all these things. We'll probably find some hops and some cocoa and stuff like that. Okay, so as soon as you enter the tile, you're going to be coming in at the edge, and it really is very random. If I were to reload this game and to enter it again, we could be on the exact opposite side. The orientation that it looks like on the map, you know, it kind of came from the southwest, and you might be like, oh, that reflected here. That was just a coincidence, I promise you. If we reloaded again, we would, you know, might spawn over here or whatever. So take a scope of the area. Think about what, where you might want to attack from. But before we do that, a few things to think about. So they say the attack has begun. We've entered and there's attack, but now there's a relationship. Mila is Rose, one of our colonists' son. So that's interesting. So, you know, if you kill people that your colonists are related to, they're going to be upset. And they're going to be upset for a long time. Now, Rose, luckily enough, is iron-willed. So they can be really upset and they still won't mentally break. And right now they're super happy. They attended that wedding. That's going to expire in 2 days. You know, we had a raid go on, and we actually had some troopers visit us to help us with a quest with a mech cluster, and they stayed in our colony for quite a few days, and no one liked them, and they were all rivals of all of ours. And then they died. Those soldiers died during the events of the mech cluster attack. And so all of my colonists are actually really happy that all these soldiers that were working for us died. That's kind of cool. Kind of interesting. But anyway, so if we see Mila might be inside, so we might not be able to see them. But as soon as we see Mila, we may want to try to, if we can, prevent them from attacking us. But honestly, you know, it's better not to be killed. It's better to kill a relative than to be killed yourself. So they might get a debuff for their son dying. That'll be a huge debuff. I think it's -20, might even be greater than that. And it will last for a long time. It will last for probably half a year. When you lose a loved one, it lasts a long time. I think Regua lost their husband some time ago. Yeah, their husband died. And they were also friends with their husband, so this is another interesting thing about how it can kind of stack. But this happened a while ago, and they still have 11 days that they have a -20. So we're going to expect a really long debuff for Rose of a -20. And they will get another debuff if they witness their relative dying. So, or if maybe, I haven't experienced this myself, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get another debuff if they killed them themselves. So at the very least, we want to prevent Rose from killing their son personally, but we also want to see if maybe we can prevent them from even seeing it. So maybe Rose will sit this one out. But honestly, I don't know how seeing it happen how the mechanics work. Some things, when it comes to knowing something happened, as long as they're on the same map, they'll know it happened. So it's interesting. It's hard to know how it will go. But let's look here. So again, they don't have turrets, so let's think about where we want to attack from. I like one of two things. One, tribals Actually, a lot of them might have great bows, and great bows here have a big range. They actually have a better range than most guns and weapons. So as much as tribals aren't very tech savvy, they do have range. So don't think that you can just kind of come up with your guns and make a line and you'll kill them all before they start firing back. Chances are you'll be in their sights before they're in your sights. So there's two things I like. One, I like to find a patch of no cover that we might force them to cross in order to attack us. So again, the attack has begun. They might be aware of us that we're here, but they're not going to just come and rush us. They're going to actually stay around their colony. And then at some point, we'll get a message that says they're going to attack us. That usually happens after we attack them first. Do they become all hostile and try to, as a whole colony, come and attack us? So if you have someone with a sniper rifle, that definitely has the best range in the game. That should have a better range than great bows. You know, a normal sniper rifle might not have as good of a range as like a legendary great bow and stuff. So I don't know that, but in general, a sniper rifle is a good weapon to kind of come in, take pot shots, and it's a great way to kind of thin their numbers before they even start attacking you. Chances are they'll attack you once the first person goes down, but it's a great way to get kind of the first shot on, right? So that's something to think about. So I like to let them, so if we maybe like, you know, went here, somewhere around here, they might try to kind of cross this path, and this is also would slow them down because it's muddy and water. So it would slow them down, or they would go around it. So that would take them longer, and we could be shooting at them that whole time. But this patch of non-cover is not very big, and you know the range of a great bow definitely outranges how much this is. So a lot of times with tribals, what I like to do is kind of hide behind a structure. It forces them to kind of come, when they attack, it forces them to come around this way, and then we've closed the range that way. You know, they can attack us, and then once they can see us, we're so close that we're kind of going to mow them down. So I think I'm going to attack from around here. And the added benefit is on the way to here, there's not much cover, right? So they might cross this open field, and if we're kind of over here, we might be able to shoot at them like that. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. When you enter, if you're entering with animals, definitely zone the animals. So make a quick zone. There's always going to be a Area 1 zone on a new map. I never end up renaming it because you're only going to need it temporarily. I'm going to just go like that. And I'm going to say, hey, Cisco, let's get you into Area 1. So Cisco's going to chill out there. If you don't restrict them, they might wander into the battlefield, and, you know, it's an enemy horse. The tribes, you know, our enemies will attack that horse if it's within range and it's something that they see, they'll totally attack it. So best to keep your animals on the edge of the map in safety and where they can graze. Don't, you know, I'm not going to restrict Cisco to this patch right here because then they won't be able to eat. So that's good, right? So let's take our guys. They automatically arrive drafted, so don't have to worry about that. I'm going to quickly scroll through and see if any of them need anything, need to eat. All right, the closest is Orlean, but they don't need to eat yet. And, you know, if you wanted them to eat, they usually are holding a meal, and you can just say consume, and they'll consume it right there, but they will get a debuff for eating without a table, and all that stuff still applies. So when you're raiding, it's kind of a couple of things. It's strategy, but it's also managing the mood of your colonists because you don't want them breaking. If they mentally break, not great for the raid. You know, they could wander out into the battle and get killed. But also, if you want to reform that caravan real quick, you can't form it with a broken person, or you can try to, but it won't form until they've stopped being broken. So if that happens, usually what you do is you kind of form the rest of the caravan, have them go, and then have that broken person leave whenever they're done breaking. But yeah, let's experience what it's like to raid and what we can do. So I'm gonna have them I want them to eventually go here, but I don't want them to get too close. If you get too close, even if you don't attack, if you get too close, they're gonna attack us. You know, if they see us, we're hostile. So I'm actually gonna have them move here, and then shift clicking, I'm gonna have them move there. All right, so we'll have them do that. We'll speed it up a little bit. You don't want it to go too fast because things might happen. You know, they might see us while we're walking this way and take some pot shots, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna have them all, go up there. And this colonist, which again I can't pronounce the name of, is our fastest, and that's because he has that architect leg. That's making him move at 125%. He's got a great eye. He's our best shooter, and this eye and his manipulate, all these things help with combat and shooting. So he's going to be our person that's going to get some, going to have stuff. He's going to be our catalyst, our initiator, because he can run away very quickly. He can come up here, shoot at them, and then run back. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my melee people. I only have 2 meleeers. I'm going to have them be about here, so they can, as the enemies come around the corner, they can kind of attack them here. We want to avoid our enemies doing this where they're making cover around the cliff side, because once your enemies are in cover, and if you're in cover, it's not a great situation to be in, honestly. 2 people, 2 sides both firing from cover, it's not great. It takes a long time, you know, so moods can decrease while you're in that kind of cover fight. Yeah, it's just, you know, I prefer, if I can, to try to attack my enemy when they're defenseless, you know. I'm actually going to have all these people. What's the range? I'm just trying to think about the range we're dealing with. Yeah, see, I want them to be about here. I was going to put them behind these stone chunks. It's better for coverage. And if you want to ever see coverage of something, you can always hit the eye, and cover effectiveness is 50%, whereas this tree that Jay's standing behind, the cover effectiveness is only 25%. So it's better to be behind rock chunks if you can. And if you're behind 2 rock chunks, actually that even increases your cover. More than 2 doesn't do anything, but 2 does more than just 1 rock chunk. And that also depends on the angle that the enemy is shooting you from, too. If the projectiles have to go over 2 rock chunks, then that's the cover that you get. Okay, so I'm going to have someone be here to have cover. I'm just going to have them take cover in the trees. I don't really want my colonists to be kind of firing. You know, you want to think about gun safety. Don't want them firing downrange, and they could, you know, if Alex needed to shoot at someone here, they might hit Lumi. They probably won't hit Sammy. They're usually good within a few squares of themselves, not attacking. Yeah, here, we'll go there and here. Now we're all kind of set up to ambush them as they come around. I'm going to bring... Yep, not in range yet, so go up to here. And now he'll automatically fire because he's at fire at will. I want to try to pick the people that, well, really this is the only guy I can fire at, and... Oh, he got hit. See, this is always the... Ooh, he got hit in the neck. That's not great. All right, instantly his moving is down. His top... This is not a great hit, and he's going to be dead in 9 hours. So hopefully this will last less than 9 hours, and that'll be okay. But see, this is the thing. Don't underestimate tribals. Okay, they are now attacking us. So we want you to move back, and I might have him move way, way back. We also don't want to forget about that. Here it is, Mila. That's the son of Rose, right? So if we can, we want to see but they're a melee person, so they're definitely going to be charging us. They're going to die. Sorry, they're going to die. Rose, you're probably going to see it. That's just something that's going to happen. All right, so go and boom. I'm going to attack you here. And great. See, they're coming around. This is kind of working just like we wanted. Might actually have you go back up here. And we can get everyone to attack. See, this is what we don't want. We don't want them getting in this cover here. But we don't want our guys being out here because then they'll take cover over here. So you have to kind of think about flow of the... And we usually... Oh, here's Mila. So Danny, hopefully you'll incapacitate Mila, but Danny has a monosword, which is known for chopping off limbs instead of causing bruises. So Mila's probably going to die. Yep, Mila died. Rose is upset. They died. Oh, but they didn't witness it, it looks like. So that's good. All right. And just like when someone raids you, you don't have to kill all of them. You just have to kill the majority of them until they break. Now they're going to retreat. I usually let my guys just go ahead and kill more because that's just more things that they're going to drop and more people. That are more items that we can maybe get. Well, this is probably the chieftain. The chieftain of the tribe that usually has like armor like this. So he was probably the chieftain of... oh, he was the healer. Never mind. A lot of times they're chieftains, and a lot of times they can be the faction leaders too. If you kill a faction leader, the person that killed them gets a bonus because you're kind of notorious that way. Okay, so we do... as soon as the war is over, the battle is over, I take an assessment. We have pretty good armor here, so it was a lucky shot that their attack on this colonist caused actually bleeding, but most of these should be bruises. Okay, and Rill, who's melee, he got some cuts because he's dealing with spears and stuff. Okay, so from here, I could immediately reform the caravan, and all this stuff would be available for me to do it, and it would form immediately, and it would be great, actually, because you might think, oh, this guy only has 8 hours to live. You should probably get him into a bed and start tending him now. No, don't do that. That's a waste of time. What we're going to do is the base is broken, so now you'll notice we got this message. The settlement has been destroyed. We now got plus 20 with Anda. We got plus 20 with this other faction. And now that faction considers us an ally. So this is awesome. We now have allies of both of the tech colonies, which is great. We can trade with them now. And these guys went from an enemy to an ally. Ally is better than neutral because what allies will do is without even you asking, they'll come and help when you get raided. They'll send people to help. They'll send some reinforcements. You can now ask them to come and send you reinforcements. That costs goodwill. But yeah, it's a great way to just have more options for you to get help and get supplies to help your colony. All right, so now this base is not ours yet. And this is another thing. Let me go back to that message. When you destroy the base, allies sometimes help fight when you're under attack. Here, in 3.9 days, if we stay in this area, we're going to be attacked by... That faction's going to come and send reinforcements and try to retake their land, right? So you definitely, if you do want to come and stay and harvest these, plants that they have here, don't stay longer than this, because they'll bring reinforcements, and chances are it'll be a bigger raid party than was initially here. So you're going to have to deal with even more. Okay, and we even have a person that we could take as a... Well, their toe is cut off, and they're going to die in 5 hours, but... they're good at shooting. They might be a good extra soldier, but they're volatile, which is not great. They break easily, and when they do break, it's usually violent. They're bisexual. That's cool. Okay, So this isn't ours yet. None of these structures are ours. So if I try to take Alex and I want to see what's in here, I wouldn't be able to go. And I wouldn't be able to even go into this door. It says only to melee attack the door. So what I have to do is I have to go to orders, hit claim, and claim everything. Now, once we do that, I can have my people go into the doors. So usually what I do is I have my people just enter each of these doors just so you can see what's in them. And then you have to claim. The name of the game is claiming. You just have to claim everything you see and run that claim flag over everything that you see in order for it to be counted as yours and something that, you know, maybe you'll want to take with you or whatnot. You need to claim the tables if you want them to eat at those tables if you give them a break. But I'm actually not going to keep any. I'm not going to undraft anyone, even these people that are, you know, bleeding to death. I'm just waiting here for. Okay, so now Marley, enter here, and I'm gonna bring that claim order over here and do this. Boom, and now we can claim that. Okay, now that we see everything, I don't want to stick around here. I have people dying. I don't want to stick around here and wait for reinforcements to show up. I just want to go on to the next raid. I want to go to the next settlement and raid that. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go into the world map, click this. We're going to say reform that caravan. Where are we going to go? We're going to go to the next raid, accept. We can always change that again. No, I'm not going to take this prisoner. If you do have people that are downed, you'll notice once you form the caravan, there's an option of whether you want them to be carried if possible. And so if you do that, that keeps your caravan going at a faster rate. If you don't have them be carried, then they're going to slow down. They're going to slow down anyway because you have people that aren't at your full speed. But now we can choose to pack up all this stuff that the people dropped. And we don't have to. They all had X's on them, but that's okay. They were forbidden items, but it doesn't matter. They'll still show up here. So we want to make sure we're still taking our Doomsday and our frag grenades, which we never took. I don't care about any of the tainted clothing that they dropped, but I do care about all that pemmican. They dropped a ton of food. So I'm going to take all that pemmican that they dropped. I don't care about donkey meat. Yeah, sure, we'll take some hops so we can make... And I don't care about their poor bedroll, but I'll take their good bedroll. Why not? Yeah, we'll take berries. We'll take all the food that they have except the raw meat. And I believe there might have been some gold or anything. No, they didn't drop any gold. That stinks. But I took this Devil's Strand tribal wear from them from the last raid because it wasn't tainted and I could sell it for a lot. I could take some of these beds, but beds are heavy. If there was an excellent bed, I might take that, but I'm not going to. This is all tainted, doesn't matter, can't sell it. Yeah, so I'm just going to say send. And here, it instantly formed. There was no packing. And as soon as possible, let's look at their health. As soon as possible, they're going to get patched up. So we'll just, yep, there, they got patched up. So don't have to worry about it. Infections can still happen, so it's not the most ideal place to get patched up, but it's definitely way faster and way easier than, forming a medical spot, dealing with the medicine and getting the medicine hauled over and all that time wastes precious little time. Just reform the caravan, and now we can go and, beat these people up if we want. Just real quick, I want to show here, this option here under health, whether this person or animal should be carried by other caravan members when sick. So when they're carried, if this is checked, that means they'll be carried when sick. So these guys are being carried, and that does slow us down a little bit, but not nearly as much as if they weren't carried. Yeah, so those are the basics of raiding. If we were to attack a more tech-based raid, which I might show you in a later video, have to deal with turrets. You have to deal with grenades. They might have doomsdays. They might have these kind of bigger weapons that you'll have to strategize around. But I hope that gives you a sense of just kind of how raiding works. And yes, this wasn't really fair. We have tons of people with machine guns going up against people with bows and arrows. So it was one-sided, but just for the purposes of demonstration, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them in the comments to this video. And I look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, good luck out there and have fun.